All right, you should be able to share your presentation now.
Okay. So I had to make it, so I gotta go download it here real quick. So I was thinking, do you know how many people we had last time?
For yours, I want to say somewhere around 6. I don't know off the top of my head. I can definitely
Okay.
look it up while you're
Oh,
going.
it's fine. It's not a big deal. I was just wondering if the reason why we didn't get any questions is because they probably didn't even know how to do the chat, maybe. So I was wondering if maybe at the end we just kind of unmute everybody and they could just ask questions. Maybe we might get a little bit more
Well,
engagement.
with the webinar format, their audio is automatically turned off when they come in. But I did notice before what Jessica used to do is she used to pop into the Q&A in the chat and say, this is the chat room where you can post your questions. We can say that before we begin, and then we can also remind them at the end to put their questions in the little chat bubble. So I can do that in my intro.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
And then we just got out of a little meeting where we talked about the organization with these and things like that. So we've got some stuff coming up that I think is going to help out on all ends. It looks like we have one attendee so far, which is Michelle. Hi, Michelle. I know she can't say hi back.
She can't say hi, but she's there. Yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and share this.
And then whenever you get your next topic, I know Bob talked to me a little bit about it. I've got some Facebook and LinkedIn posts ready to be boosted so that we can get some more traffic. So you can send me that information whenever. Michelle,
okay, cool.
Hi, Leanna. Really enjoy your presentations.
Thank you. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, it's not in presentation mode, but we can see it.
Yeah. Okay. There.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes. I'll pop up right at 10 and do a little intro for you, and then it's all yours.
All right, sounds good.
Leanna, refresh my memory. Is this a topic that you have already done, or is this the first time on this one and you'll do it again? Because I know we do it twice.
First time.
First time? Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
that'll give me a chance to market it and get some more traffic in here. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we picked a date for the next one, but you can, whatever date you want to do is fine. If you want to do it next week or maybe we did say next week. I don't remember. So
I'll get with Bob and we'll
yeah.
get it figured out. Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started right at 10 o'clock on the dot. Welcome to the latest installment in Treasure Coast Business Disaster Relief and Recovery. We're going to talk about getting your e-commerce website up in one day today. This webinar is brought to you in partnership by the Florida Small Business Development Center at IRSC, the Corporate and Community Training Center at IRSC, the St. Lucie EDC, and the Virtual Business Recovery Center. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our host for the day, Leanna Haag.
Everybody, thanks for joining in. I'm hoping that you find this webinar useful and you're able to apply this. Basically, we're going to go through how to get you an e-commerce presence up in hopefully one day. So I want to go over a few things. We do have a chat window, and so I think we're going to demonstrate how to use that here really quick. But I want you to write down your questions and make sure to ask at the end of the presentation. And even if it's not regarding e-commerce, maybe it's other marketing questions, I want to make sure that I'm providing value for you guys. So if you have any marketing questions at all, at the end, we're leaving 15 minutes for Q&A. So I want you to definitely take advantage of that and feel free to ask me any marketing questions that you have. As far as who I am, my name is Leanna Haag. I'm the owner of C-Level Marketing, alumni of UCF. And basically, I've worked with small and large businesses, doing large and small budgets, basically doing tactical marketing plans for the most part. And what my emphasis is online marketing for local businesses here on the Treasure Coast, from everything to websites to SEO to internet advertising. So it's been a pleasure to work with local businesses since 2009, and I'm continuing to do so. And I've been able to instruct with the Corporate Community Training Institute since 2010. So I wanted to show you guys some numbers. If you came to my last workshop, I went over some of the COVID e-commerce numbers, but I thought this one was a great one as well. E-commerce revenue has seen an increase of 18%. So that's just, from, the middle to the beginning of February. You can see that there was a 10% increase in email. And what's interesting is even though there's been a 10% increase in email communication, customer engagement has still been the same because they were wanting to see what that messaging was going to be like. There's actually been a 40% increase in revenue since the state of emergency for e-commerce. So this definitely shows a trend in how people are buying and getting their essentials online. And just, I think what it's going to be is a long-term behavioral shift of, do I really need to go into brick and mortar, or can I get what I need off the internet and have it delivered to my door? There is a convenience there that cannot be denied. Interestingly enough, beyond just the, medical and necessities like toilet paper and things like that, there was a huge increase in firearms. There was a huge increase in toys and sporting goods and camping, and also industrial. So if you're in any of those niches, something to definitely take a look at. There was a decline in apparel, and housewares, home hardware, auto, boat, and motorcycle all kind of remained flat, just to kind of give you an idea of what saw big increases and what kind of maintained the same. So basically, what does all this mean? It just means that there definitely has been a shift in the consumer mindset to source their goods and their services online. And so this workshop is to really encourage you to think about, how can I bring my product or service offerings online? So how are we going to take advantage of this new shopping trend? There's actually, two different scenarios here. If you do not have a website, then you're going to need to secure a domain. Either through Shopify will actually host your domain, or like GoDaddy or Namecheap or anybody like that will host a domain. It's usually going to cost you $10 to $15, unless you're buying a domain that already has a bunch of traffic and history behind it. Sometimes those can go for thousands of dollars, but for the most part, you can secure a domain, $10 or $15, and you can actually build a Shopify site right from there. You can go into Shopify.com and they'll secure the domain for you. If you do have a website and you're ready to get on for e-commerce, then you can just link to your Shopify website in your menu navigation, or anywhere you want to on your website. So if you have an informational website that's already up and running, I definitely would not want you to take that down by any means. You're just going to maybe put a link in your navigational menu that says Shop Now, or you could put a link on your home page that says Shop Our Store. And then as soon as you click on that button or click on the navigational menu item, it would take you over to your Shopify store. So you're going to need to have a domain for your Shopify store. So you can either, and this gets a little bit more technical, you can either do like a subdomain where it might be shop.yourdomain.com, or you might just want to do a brand new domain of, shop your brand name. So if your brand name is Widgets and More, as an example, then you might secure a domain that says shopwidgetsandmore.com, okay? And then you could actually build your Shopify site underneath that domain. But the concept here is you're gonna need a domain regardless for a Shopify site. So you're going to have to spend the $15, $10 or $15 to secure a domain, however you want that domain to be set up. Maybe if it's going to be your primary domain because you don't have a website, or if it's going to be a, you know, a shop dot or, you know, subdomain or a domain that has the words buy now, shop now in it. But basically you're going to be building a secondary site is the concept. If you already have a primary site, you're going to be building a secondary site, and you're just going to link to Shopify from your menu navigation or your homepage on your current website. To use Shopify is $29 a month, but they do offer a free trial for 14 days. So I would definitely utilize that and try to get your, you know, dedicate some time to get this set up, and then you can have, you know, if you get it up in a day, you'll have 13 days of free usage of Shopify. So to get started, you're just going to go to shopify.com and you're going to create an account. They're going to ask you what your store name is. So this store name actually has to be unique from everybody else that uses Shopify. So you're going to have to, you know, if you sell something, and even if it's your brand name, it might already be taken. So you're going to have to do some modifiers to make this be unique. You might have to put Florida at the end of it. You might have to put like TC for Treasure Coast or Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie. That kind of stuff will usually give you enough uniqueness for a store name. Also, it's not a bad idea to put your city name in your store name because that kind of helps with local searches when people are doing, if you don't have as much of a national focus, putting your city name in the store name kind of helps you show up with in Google for local searches. So you're gonna tell Shopify what your store name is, and then they're gonna check and make sure that it's unique to all their other users, because this is basically gonna kind of build your username per se with Shopify. So you run everything with Shopify off a store admin screen. And this is what it looks like in the screenshot here. And this is where you customize everything for the store. This is where you upload products. This is where you set up payments, set up shipping. And basically you just go right down that menu item. You start at the top. It's a little small, I don't know if you can see it very well, but you know, it's products is where you're going to populate products. You can do discounts, as you can see. They have different sales channels where they'll let you connect with Pinterest and sell your products there. They've got a lot of integrations that make it easy on you. But for simplicity today, this is basically your dashboard that you work off of. So once you get your account set up, your first thing you're going to do is choose a theme. So I just wanted to talk about themes a little bit. You want to make sure, and if you aren't familiar with themes in website development, basically it's just the look of your website, like what your website's going to look like. So color scheme, where pictures are going to be, it's your template of what your website's going to look like. So you want to make sure you look at the functionality and the reviews of each theme. You're kind of digging through picking one. You can actually click on the sample image once you find one that you like the way it looks, and it'll tell you information about the theme, such as whether it's responsive or mobile ready. So you can see here, if you skip down to the bottom of the slide, I've got in caps, make sure the theme is mobile friendly, AKA responsive, okay? It's really important. Mobile usage is usually 50% or more for web sales. So people will be looking at your website on desktop, but over half of them or more will be looking at your website on mobile. So it's really, really important when you are choosing these themes that you see either the word mobile friendly or responsive. You want to make sure that you pick that so that way, you know, you're making sure that your website will look good in a mobile environment. You're actually able to preview the theme as well. So you can click View Demo, and it'll let you, when you hit the preview theme, it'll actually let you see, you know, what this theme looks like. And then basically you can customize it. And Shopify does let you do a little bit of CSS and HTML if you know how to do that. If you don't worry about it. They have some color scheme changes that you can do. They'll let you change out photos and all those sort of things without knowing how to do coding. So you can make simple changes that can, change the appearance of your store. So you can definitely make your store look unique so you don't feel like you're looking so cookie cutter. So, don't worry that you have to code in order to get your theme the way you want it to look. A little bit more about customizing the theme. So see, this is actually what it kind of looks like this screenshot, when you go to customize the theme. You can put in your logo, you can put in slides for, if you want moving carousel, you can do the related item functionality, where when somebody's browsing around, you can say, you might also like this. You can choose how many items appear, you can choose a color scheme, choose a font. So there's definitely some things you can do here to make your theme look unique, so you're not feeling like you're looking like everybody else. So once you choose your theme, you're just going to add some products. This is all done from the admin panel. You can see here in this screenshot, it's just under products and all products. And as soon as you click on that, it's going to ask you to add a product. I want to encourage you, should have bolded this part, make sure you fill out as much information as possible. Every single field that you can fill in, do it. I want you to definitely focus on the name and description area. You want to think about keywords. We talked a little bit about keywords last webinar if you joined me. If not, definitely make sure to go to the EDC website and watch it. But you want to take keywords and put them in the product's name and also the description. So if you guys aren't knowing what I'm saying when I say keywords, I'm talking about search terms. So whatever you feel like people would be Googling to find your business. And what we talked about in the last webinar is you can do keyword research and actually get traffic numbers and data behind what people are looking for your product or service. So what you can do is you can put those search term, or those keywords into the product name, also put them into the description area. And then that's just something that just helps you show up in Google search. If your product has a weight, it's really important that you put it in for shipping. Otherwise, shipping can't be calculated. So again, just every single field that they ask you to populate on the product, do it, because it's just going to help your store run better. And it will also allow you to show up in Google a little bit better by putting keywords and search terms wherever you can, category names and everything. Product images, another, here's what the add a product screen looks like, a screenshot of it. So there in that title, you would put your keyword. There in that description, you would put your keyword, when you're writing your description sentence. The other thing I really want to point out is product images can make a sale. So you want to make sure you show your products off to their best. So you want to try to, if possible, you're going to be selling products, you want to make them look as uniform as possible. So even if you just have a nice white wall in your house, just kind of set your camera up or set your smartphone up to be about the same distance away. So maybe like 1 or 2 feet away, however big your product or service is. If it's small, you want to have it be zoomed in a little bit. If it's big, then you're going to actually just make sure your product is able to be seen all the way. But basically, you're going to always have it be from the same distance. You don't want it to look disproportionate and have a huge white space behind one product and no white space behind another. You get what I'm saying? So try to set it up where all the pictures look uniform, all the products are done in the same angle. And again, you can just do this up against a white wall or a blue wall or whatever you have in your house or your office. So that way it's looking consistent. You can also set up collections. This helps customers find what they're looking for without having to kick through a whole catalog. So it's just categorization. So collections are basically categories, okay? So just some examples of how you would do collections. So let's just say you had the men's collection if you were selling clothes, or the women's collection, or the children's collection, okay? So that would be all the clothes that children can wear, or all the clothes that men could wear, or women. You can also do collections like maybe all the lamps that you're selling, or all the cushions that you're selling, or items that are on sale, items that are certain sizes or colors. So all items that are blue, as an example, you could put that into a category. Or seasonal products, such as holiday cards, you know, that could be its own collection, decoration. So you're kind of getting the idea. You're just grouping products together in a way that's going to make it easier for people to find it. And it's a really good idea to take that keyword that we were talking about a couple minutes ago, take that search term and use that in your collection title, okay? So when you're actually going to go title that and name it, use those search terms. Step 5, you're going to set up your payment gateway and taxes. Not all payment gateways are created equal. Let me spend a minute explaining payment gateway because that term might be a little confusing. Honestly, it's just the way that people are going to pay. So do you want them to pay through PayPal? Do you want them to pay through MasterCard? Do you want them to pay through Visa? How do you want people to pay you? Okay, so you've got different payment gateways that Shopify will offer that will let you do the, you know, credit cards, things like that. I highly recommend that you guys make it to where people can pay through PayPal or Stripe. Those are two really common methods of payment, and honestly, the easier you can make it for people to pay you, the better. You don't want to make it to where they feel like they're putting a bunch of personal information into a brand new site that they've never done much shopping on. So people usually are more willing to pay you if they can use PayPal, where they feel like they have a little bit of protection, or Stripe, where, you know, they've saved all their information in PayPal or Stripe and they don't feel like they're having to type all their information into your site. So really, really recommend that you choose a payment gateway that allows you to take PayPal payment in addition to Visa, MasterCard, and et cetera, or Stripe payment. You also want to take into consideration the transaction fees. You want to make sure that, you know, the payment gateway that you choose, and this is all done under your settings on Stripe, on Shopify. You want to make sure that you're comfortable with the percentages and the fees being charged. So make sure you take a look and see how much they're going to be charging you per transaction and what their processing fees are. And if you need to charge taxes, make sure you enable them under the settings page, next to where it says charge taxes. So, you know, if you're going to be needing to take that in consideration. So this settings section is what I'm talking about. This is where you set up the payment gateways, see where it says payment providers, and see where it says taxes. That's where you'll do taxes. Honestly, I recommend that once you get your site populated with all your products or services and any informational pages, once you get your, you know, your website populated and ready to go, I highly recommend just going to the settings section and clicking on every single option. Click on general, click on payment providers, click on checkout to see your check, you know, you can customize your online checkout process. Click on shipping and manage, and make sure you look at all the options there. I would just click on every single item there, so you've got everything set up the way you want it to go. There's one thing that I do want to point out. You really want to use Google Analytics to help you get reporting on how your website is performing. So you just go to google.com/analytics, and it will start, usually within a few days, start tracking site visitors, where they're coming from, keywords, search terms that they're using, you know, a big wealth of data, honestly, from Google Analytics. And you can actually basically take that Google Analytics code, stick it into Shopify here, and that's actually something that will be very helpful to you. You can also if you want to do a full dry run of how Shopify is working on your Shopify site, you know, the checkout process, you can actually use the bogus gateway, is what they call it, to test your checkout process before going live. So it's actually located under the payment gateway under settings. So if you go under payment providers and you click on payment gateway, it'll be there under settings, and you can actually enable the bogus gateway, and then you can go out to your Shopify store that you've built and go ahead and add a product to the cart and go all the way through the checkout process and demo it for yourself, and go ahead and even like pay and maybe, you know, make a PayPal payment or whatever you're doing. And it won't charge anything. It won't charge your card. It won't charge PayPal. It'll all just be in what web development called sandbox mode, which just basically means a mode in which you can play, but there's no real transaction going on. And it will basically allow you to say, okay, I'm ready to launch my site, but I want to make sure that everything's functioning the way I want it to function. So you can put it in this bogus gateway mode to go 100% through the checkout process to try to check any bugs or any issues before going live. You also want to make sure that if you've set up any storefront passwords, you know, while you were building it, that you basically disable those so people can actually view the store. If you have a password protected before, you know, once you launch it, people aren't going to be able to see the store because they won't have the password. So I didn't really instruct you guys to do that today, so that shouldn't really be too much of an issue. But if that is something that you set up along the way, I just always like to call that out, so that way, you know, people are able to see the content. So we've gone through how to set up Shopify. Basically, what you want to do, or what I would recommend, is go to Shopify, get it set up, and honestly, if you can just carve out a day out of your schedule, you know, just say, okay, tomorrow's Thursday, I'm going to set up Shopify, and I'm just going to spend all day, and I'm going to get it done. And by the end of the day, you should be able to have, I mean, unless you have 1,000 products, by the end of the day, you should be able to have your Shopify site up and running. And then you can have 13 days of free hosting, and then you know, go from there. So once you get your e-commerce site up, I thought it was really important that I include some tips on how to help you grow it. So if you have an existing website, we talked about this before, definitely link your Shopify site to your current website. You want to use, if you happen to have an existing customer list, you want to blast that out and say, hey, now we're offering online shopping. Or you can start building a customer or a prospect list, either by asking your customers for their email addresses, you know, when you're doing business with them, or, you know, basically every time you're out in an event or you're out doing service calls, start trying to get that information from your customers. You can also use emails to, you know, send birthday emails. You want to basically think about, when you're in e-commerce, you have to go into the mindset of regularly reaching out to your customers. You want to be first top of mind with them. You also want to remember that customer service is first and foremost. I want to, you know, suggest that you use good packaging if you're going to be shipping products, because no one likes getting products in bad packaging. And think about how much time Apple spends in making their unboxing experience, right? So you want to, even if it's just something simple, like just going and getting some ribbons or something from the dollar store, or just something just to kind of make it look nice so people kind of feel that they got a high quality product from you. If you're shipping products, I would encourage product or service reviews. In 2013, as an example, Amazon made 35% of their revenue by recommending products to past customers. So you want to really think about that cross promotion and that cross selling. And you know, once you do start selling products or services on your site, to encourage people to leave reviews. So that's going to be an email blast out to them to say, what did you think about the product, right? So that would be a follow-up email. Were you happy? What did you think? If you were happy, please leave a review. That's got to be part of your process. Is once people purchase, they get a follow-up email from you saying, thank you for your order. What did you think? Please leave a review. And then you can start building product reviews. And product review is a functionality that is inside Shopify. So, and honestly, I know you guys are busy, but Shopify really put together a great comprehensive resource. It's the e-commerce business blueprint, and it's on shopify.com. So if you want to write down that URL, we'll also be sending these slides out, so you'll be able to click on it. But it's shopify.com/blog/e-commerce business blueprint. It is very in-depth, and they do a great job thinking about everything from branding to your logo to, store setup, to giving you tips on growing your e-commerce forward. So, I would definitely start there from learning to once you get your site up and running. So just as like a recap, you want to have your keyword research done. So you want to think about what those search terms are. You're going to implement those into your website and blog, and then you're going to go into social media and promotions. This is kind of what we talked about last time. So once you have your e-commerce website up, then you need to blast it for social media, advertising, social media posts, so on and so forth. So that's another means of growth that you can have for your e-commerce website is social media. So you want to make sure that you start highlighting products, telling stories about your products. People love stories. So if you can start telling stories about your products, and advertising your products, all of these things will drive traffic to your e-commerce store. But it is worth it to take the time to do some proper keyword research and make sure that you're using those keywords in all of your product descriptions, all of your product titles, all of your pages, and continuing to use those on your social media as well, and implementing your social media strategy after you have your e-commerce website up. So for more information, any questions, you can always follow me. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can see my website, my email, give me a call. And now I'm going to ask you for your feedback. So if you could write in the chat, what you would want another marketing topic to be on for one of these webinars that we're doing. I had an idea of doing an advertising on social media one, or maybe even doing like a live Q&A where we would spend the whole 45-minute block just answering marketing questions. We could do that too. Or if you guys don't have any ideas on the next webinar, just any marketing questions in general, I'd be happy to take. So I appreciate you guys listening to this presentation today, and now I'm going to hand it over to any questions. We'll give you guys a few minutes to ask a question. If you guys don't have any questions in the next couple minutes, then we'll go ahead and end the webinar. So,
Leanna, we do have one question that came through privately. It says, any advice for service businesses?
Yeah, you can set up a service business just as if you had a product. And sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yeah, so you can, just as you would set up products on Shopify, you can set up services as if they were a product. You're just not going to have shipping and all those sort of things. So, if one of your services is consultation, or another service is, okay, so I'm just going to go from my example where I build like websites or do consultations or, do research reports and things like that. You can put any of those items in as a product. So website development would be a product. Internet advertising would be another product. Research report could be another product. And so you're basically going to go onto Shopify and you're going to put your services in as if they were products, and then you can basically have it set up where people give you like a 50% deposit. You would put the amount of the product as far as what it would be for a 50% deposit or 25% deposit, or maybe you just want them to give you, you know, $100 down or something like that. Whatever you want to set the price, however you want to structure the pricing. And then basically you can say, hey, you know, in this age of not wanting to meet face-to-face with COVID, I'm more than willing to, you know, build you a website. And, you know, then we can set up a Zoom call and I can talk about, you know, the aspects of building the website, but you can go ahead and send me your deposit through my Shopify store. So you can definitely use services as if they were products. You're just not going to have to worry about all the shipping and stuff. So that's a bonus for you. Okay, so I see someone coming through the chat. If you can recommend businesses to get real-time suggestions for new and or successful ways to market. So I'm not sure, Michelle, if you attended the webinar I did last week on marketing in COVID-19, but I went through some ways to adjust your messaging and get feedback from your social media followers on how they want to interact with you on COVID-19. You also want to pay attention to what your competitors are doing. A little bit of competitive analysis goes a long way. Honestly, I wouldn't say that there's anything new from the marketing realm that you need to be doing for COVID. I would just say it's more of an emphasis on the e-commerce, the online shopping, you know, helping people connect with you virtually without having to do face-to-face connections. And I think that's probably more of the piece that has changed. So, you know, if you have services that you can offer through an online store, if you have a way that you can do meetings, you know, virtually with Zoom, those sort of things are convenience factors that you can add in. If you have like a brick and mortar store, then it's going to be a lot of messaging on how we're being safe, how our employees are being safe, you know, safety measures that we're taking in general, and how that's going to, you know, and how we're not going to be price gouging you, things like that. And really, you're going to still be implementing your social media tactics of, you know, posting and advertising, and you still need to have your website. You still need to do search engine optimization so people can find you. So really, if anything, you're just implementing your digital marketing toolkit and spending a little bit more focus on that versus non-digital marketing, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be necessarily putting a bunch of marketing spend into magazine advertisements right now. I would probably be taking that money and putting it into Facebook ads, if you get what I'm saying. So you want to think about, since everybody's a little bit more digital these days and have been forced to be digital because of COVID, how can I meet them in that digital space is I guess how I would answer that question. Any other questions, guys?
We do have one in Q&A. It says, I use Square for checkout. Is this possible to link to Shopify?
Yes. Yes. So Square can be used as a payment processor. So Square, Stripe, PayPal, any of those payment processors can be integrated with Shopify. But you would have to set up a Shopify store. So I'm not sure if you're talking about that you already have an e-commerce store. If you already have an e-commerce store, you're going to have to add Square in your payment providers on your existing e-commerce store. If you're going to be setting up Shopify from new, then you can choose a payment provider that allows you to pay with Square. Any other questions?
I don't see any more questions, Leanna, but we do have some feedback about your future webinars. It seems
Cool.
they like the idea of doing the Q&A.
Yeah, I thought that would be good because, you know, I can shoot in the dark as much as I can to figure out what you guys want to learn about. But I think if you came to a webinar with some questions that you've had a chance to think about, then we could have a really good discussion. So if you guys want to, I've already been talking with the organizers here to put a Q&A webinar together. So if you guys want to go ahead and start thinking about some questions that you would like to discuss, you can definitely email those questions ahead of time so I can make sure I have a prepared answer, or just bring those questions to the Q&A. We'll probably be having that in the next week or so, next couple weeks probably. And you know, we'll definitely have a good discussion with that too. So, all right. Well, I think that's it unless we have any other questions or feedback.
I don't see any more questions or feedback, Leanna, but I do want to invite everybody that attended this to join us at 2 p.m. where we're going to be talking about social distancing, working with what we have and making it great. Again, that'll be at 2 p.m. You can find the links on the VBRC page, or if you want to pop in the chat, I can definitely email you the link directly.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and thanks for the questions. We'll definitely see you next time.